what, like, Ray, I want to ask you, so like, because we're just basically like going to be like interviewing each other at this point, or like talking between the two of us.
Right.
At this point in your life, what made you like, when it comes to when you're in the thick of like like you're in the thick of addiction, right? Like, so like you want to get out, you're like, you're in a trap house, you're whatever, you're like, you're doing all of the things, like you're going in and out of jail, whatever. What do you think would have been something that could have happened to you in that time that you would have been like, wait a minute, I think I can like go and like seek some help. Like there's something out there that I can like reach for. Is there anything that could have happened to you at that time? Or do you think that it's
So,
like something that you had to have had made the decision yourself?
so I think kind of like the question that you're asking is what was the moment where I felt like there was hope for me?
Sort of. I'm kind of asking, like, is there anything that could have happened to you during that time? Like, so during like the times when you were like all like messed up, like when you were in jail, when you were like hanging out with all of the bad people, like that, like, you know what I mean? Like when you were in the thick of it, is there anything that could have happened to you during that time that could have like steered you off course that you can think of? Anything?
I think I think that's a jam-packed question because for me,
It is a
I look
jam-packed
at
question.
I look at my experience and I feel like that is what happened for me. Um the very early stages, like throughout the 14 years that I was actively using substances, that crossed my mind a whole bunch of times. But what happened
Yeah.
for me, that helped turn that around, for one, gave me hope, thinking that okay, it's possible for me to live something different, was building a trusting relationship with the social worker that was there for me, was when I
Yeah.
was actually like, okay, I can do this. I trust this individual, and they showed me a light at the end of a very dark tunnel. But when I'm in the thick of it and I didn't have any support, no, no, I like for me,
No?
it was building that relationship and someone who didn't give up on me. And trust me, I did everything I could to push her away, um, and not be involved with her. But she was consistent and she was determined. And that's how I knew um, she was there for me. So for me, I think I can only speak on my experience, but for me, it's having that one person outside of my family or my friends, which usually come from like a judgmental point of view and more of like guilting and shaming. So it was different because
Right.
of
That's
outside
that's kind of like
person.
that's kind of where I was like getting at with that question, is like the outside guilting and shaming. Like I think that there's like a huge shift going on right now in the recovery community and in like the addiction community. Like I think that there's a huge shift. People like myself and you, people like Dale, people like Katie, people like that we know from Thunder Bay that are like that are getting sober and going out and like making big deals about it, like all online, like talking about how great it is. I didn't see that back when I was in my addiction. I don't know if you saw that. I don't know. Like, no, I didn't see anything like that. Like, all I saw was people still in the addiction, people not doing well. Sorry, I'm just going to make a coffee while we're doing this. That's all I saw. So I didn't see like a big change like I'm seeing now. And I think that like when I asked you that question was like, say if you had prominent people that you knew from the streets that you could watch online constantly, you know, posting about recovery, about like this, about how great things are, how beautiful recovery could be. Do you think that that maybe would have like encouraged you in some way? Like, would it have been like, oh man, look at them and look at what they're doing. Like, maybe I can
Oh,
do
a
it
hundred
too, sort of
percent.
thing.
A hundred
Yeah,
percent. I feel like you're absolutely right. What's happening now is there's a movement. And I think like a lot of
there
us
is.
who were all using together and didn't see any hope or a way out because people weren't loud about their recovery. Like Shy and I talked about this in one of our first podcasts, is like we would some people would just go like just disappear and nobody knew what happened to them. They were just like gone.
Right.
And those are people that had gone into recovery, but we didn't hear about it. Nobody knew what happened. But it's not like that right now. Right now, there's a movement happening with folks that are in recovery because at least in our generation, Shy, like we have lost so many people. Our generation is like dwindling down to
Yeah,
addiction, to overdose, to all of those
totally.
types of things. So it's crazy. I think that's why we're all so loud and proud about recovery because it's a battle. It's an uphill battle. Coming out on the other side, right? So yeah, I think I'm seeing more people even reaching out to both of us asking like I want to go to treatment. I need help. Um people, it's we're you and I were advocating like it's okay to ask for help. That's a beautiful thing. You know what I mean? People are doing that. People are reaching out now. So I think um it's beautiful because I think we are all of us as a collective in recovery in one way or another are giving hope to an area and to people that didn't have it before because I know I certainly didn't.
Totally. And you're right. And when you touched on the part where like they just disappeared, they did. And we didn't know if they died. We didn't know if they were just like hanging out on another side of town for like the past year or like when they would pop back up again. Like we didn't know, right? I know a lot of people thought that I was in jail. Like everybody was like, oh, no, no, Cheyenne's just still in jail. She's just, she's been there for 2 years. And little did they know, I was not. I was at home sober with my kids. So like, that's
I was
like,
one of those
that's what
people,
the
by the
difference is
way.
now. Yeah. And
I
like,
was like,
that's what's so different about it now. And that's why I asked that question to you, because I think what me and you are trying to do with Next Step Narratives, where we're trying to like reach out instead of having people reach in, I think that's a
yeah,
big step in the right direction because I think that everybody says, like, you can't do it until you're ready. You can't do it until you're ready. Like you can't force anybody to do anything. And it's not forced. It's just showing people a different way. It's not forcing them. It's just literally being like, sorry, I just have to get my water. It's just literally being like, hey, look, this could happen. This could be like a different way. And, it's okay. And I think it's making a huge difference. I
like this
really
is
do.
possible. Like this is a
It is
possibility
possible. And
because
I think,
when people are
okay, go.
in those circumstances, and you and I both know this, there is no hope. Like there is
Mhm.
nothing. Like you are basically, and this is gonna
Right.
sound horrible to say, but this is my experience. You're basically waiting until you die because there doesn't seem like there's another option, right?
Oh,
So
totally.
what
100%.
what we're doing is definitely giving people and especially like you and I, like I remember when I first went into recovery and people found out about it, they were like, oh well, I thought you died, and I really thought you were gonna die out here. Like I never in a million years would have thought that you, out of all people, would be where you are right now.
I I remember. So I was on Facebook. This is when I first got Facebook, and I saw a picture of. I think you were with Elevate at the time, and you went out and you were cleaning like a homeless encampment or something. But there was just a picture of like a group of people, and you had like a bunch of like garbage baggy looking clothes on, like like clothes that you go to clean places with.
Yeah.
And I'm looking, and I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, is that Raynell? I'm like, no. And I'm like staring super close. I'm like, no, that's not her. I was like, oh my gosh, is she clean? Like, no clue whatsoever. I
Yeah.
also remember when Jessica messaged me and she was still on the streets at the time. And she goes, I just want to say, like, I'm shocked. And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, I'm like, I never would have thought you would have gotten sober. Like, if I would have bet money that Cheyenne, like, because I was known as Cheyenne Casme on the streets, if I would have bet money that Cheyenne Casme was going to get sober, I would have put all my money on the fact that you were not getting sober. Like, it was never going to
Yeah.
happen for you. So yeah, like, I think to myself, Jessica sent that to me while she was still in the thick of addiction. And I think to myself, did that do something subconsciously inside of her head? Like, you never know, right? You never know who you are affecting just by being, yourself, like just by showing people that there's a different way of being. And I think back to that when Jessica sent that to me, because I was with Steve at the time, and I remember telling him, like, it was kind of rude the way that she said it. Like, I'm not going to be honest. Like, I was like, I kind of took offense to it. Like, because it was like, it was almost like she was jealous in a way or something, right? Like, but then I find out later on that she's gone for treatment. And I'm like, wow, like, wow, like, and it's not to like make our egos bigger or for me to think like, oh, I did this. That's not what I'm trying to say whatsoever. Like, or you, Ray, you're making people sober. It's not us that are making people sober. It's just like, you wonder, are we planting the seed? And is that not beautiful? Like, it's absolutely gorgeous. And
Right.
I think that can happen out on the streets. Like, I know social media is a huge platform, but I know when I was on the streets, I never went on social media. Like, people were like, oh, you're blasted all over this page. And I was like, what page? Like, I'm like, I don't give a shit. Like, who cares about this guy? Like, who's that? So, right, exactly. It's got to start somewhere. Exactly. And I
Yeah.
think that I was not on social media. I don't know about you, but I didn't really scroll social while I was on the streets. But I think that if we go out into the community and we start reaching out to people the way that me and you are doing online, I think that we can change the narrative of you can't get better until you're ready. I
Yeah.
think we can change that narrative and save some lives. I really do. I honestly do. I don't know if you agree with me. Like, do you have any thoughts on that?
Um, so I think we kind of touched on this before. And like,
We did.
I think absolutely continuing to do what we're doing, but also reaching out to folks that are out there right now and just like sharing our message is powerful. But at the end of the day, um, people need to be ready and willing, of course, in their own way. So of course it goes back to person centered, like we meet people where they are. I think what the most powerful thing is that we could do is reach out to these folks and just love them until they can love themselves, be there for them until they're ready, if they're ready, and just showing like that careness and compassion to people who actually, like, what I see a lot in the field that I'm in is um everybody thinks they know what's best for this individual and they push them in the direction they want them to go in. We have to stop doing
Right.
that. We have to
Right.
stop doing that. We just
That I
should
agree
love
with you.
people where they're at, no matter where or when
Before we
they're
go,
ready.
before we before we go in that direction, because that's a different direction, which I totally agree with you in that direction. I just wanted to touch back on when you said like that the person does need to be ready. You are right about that. Like, they do have to, like, we're not forcing them into a recovery or anything like that. But I think that when you're reaching out, the more you reach out and the more you are not judgmental, the more you are on their level, because me and you are on their level, right? The more we can relate, the more that I think if I would have had that on the streets, the more I would have been more comfortable to slowly start taking one step out. You know what I mean?
100%.
Like not completely coming out all at once, just like one little tiny step out the door. And then the next time, another little tiny step out the door, and then another little
Well,
tiny step. And where maybe if I
it's
saw
like
my,
pre,
oh, go ahead.
sorry. It's like pre-contemplation to
That's okay.
action, right? Like, it's like
Right.
when
Right. The
you're
opposite way.
pre-contemplating and then you're contemplating. Okay. So it's like when you're
Yeah.
contemplating and
Some,
pre-contemplating, it takes, there's steps that you take towards that. But I think, yeah, what you're saying actually absolutely makes sense. When you build trust and rapport with individuals and they can see that there's a different possibility and someone's here to support and work with them, it 100% makes it easier for folks to
right.
say like, hey, do you know what? This is possible for me. I can live a different life, and I have support from
Right.
individuals who have gone through it, who have done it. Like I was in active substance use for 14 plus years. Like I said it earlier, never in a million years did I ever think that my life was going to look any different than what it was when I was hustling and doing all these crazy things, and like my
Right.
when I'd wake up sick every single day, like I thought that was my life forever until one day I didn't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it took
Right.
building trusting
And
relationships to
in,
get to that point. And we can do that for people.
right. And another thing that I was thinking too, going back to when I was talking about like one step out the door, one step out the door. I remember
Yeah.
every time that I would start to get sober and I would hang around my children, a deep sadness would come inside of me. It was an extreme sadness because of everything that I did to them, and it would push me back out onto the streets. But if I could have had somebody by my side, like you, like say if me and you were where you're at right now and I was still back there, and you showed me your life with Nathaniel, and you said, "Hey, why don't you bring your sons over to play with my sons and let's chill for like a little bit." And say,
Yeah.
even if I was high at the time or not doing okay, you just monitored me, but you were like okay with it. You know what I mean? Like you were meeting me where I was at, but you were slowly
With
showing me you don't need to be
yeah.
sad. Life can go on, and your son will love you again, and you don't need to be a sad mom. You can forgive yourself. I'm just talking about little things like that. Do you know what I mean? And just showing
Oh
people,
yeah.
um, you like, yeah, like showing people we don't judge you. You're okay, and having that support. I think that that's huge. And I really like that you touched on that pre-contemplation into action, because what they use that for in treatment is going back to drugs. But what we should be using it for is getting off of the drugs, not going back to
Yeah.
drugs. Like we should be using it in the opposite direction, which I just found amazing that you just came to that conclusion. It's
Yeah.
beautiful. Like that's a beautiful way to look at it. You're looking at it in the negative light, but what you did was you spun it around and you put it into the positive light. Like you could use that same concept to help people the other way around, right? Like pre-contemplation. What does sobriety look like? Can my feelings be okay? Can I go to bed without crying? Can I go to bed without anxiety? Like, can I have a life outside of what my life was in addiction? Can I achieve things that I've wanted to achieve, or does my life end here?
Right.
Showing that no, it doesn't. And that's huge. That's huge. And now we can go to what you were talking about not having it be what you want it to be, not having it look like what you want it to look like. Um, Go ahead with that because I have a lot to say about that. So I would like you to continue on with that conversation because that was one I really wanted to have.
Sure. So yeah, I see a lot of people in the field that I work in, um, really having their heart, and keep in mind, burnout is a huge thing with it within social works. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that we can and tend to get so invested with the clients we're working with because we see where they are right now and we see they're hurting, they're struggling. So we want to take them out of that because naturally we're fixers, and it shouldn't be like that. Like that's wrong. We want to guide them in the direction we want them to so they're not feeling that pain anymore. And that's problematic. Like when you're healing and going through all these things. Like, for one, you have to come to the conclusion yourself of what is the right path for you. You should have control over that. You should be loved regardless. And it can't be like third parties. So I'll just go to a personal experience of mine. I've gone to treatment a number of times. Every time I'd gone to them previously, before the last one that stuck, was because other people decided it for me. Other people
Right.
guilt tripped me and shamed me into believing I was a horrible person, that I was selfish, that I was causing all this harm to my child by not being there, and made me feel super, super horrible. And keep in mind, I already knew all this. Like, I don't need anybody telling me
Right.
how shitty of an individual I am. I
Nobody,
already know. And
right.
it ate me
Nobody
up
needed to help you shame yourself.
100%. Like, people
Yeah.
struggling with substance use know, like, they know. You don't need to tell them. They're aware, and it's part of
No.
the reason that feeds further abuse, feeds further
Right.
using. So we have to stop
Yep.
doing
Yep.
that and pointing out the faults to individuals and guiding up them in the direction we think they should go in. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't stick.
Exactly. Doesn't.
It's
No.
problematic.
And not only that, shaming people into change, that is the worst way to do anything. That is called negative reinforcement. Negative reinforcement does not work. If anybody wants to look up the experiments, the Pavlov experiments with the dog and the bell and the whistle. Does anybody know what that is? Yes. So negative reinforcement does not work. Okay. That's like spanking your children. You know, like when so, like there's a consequences to your actions, consequences. Those don't work as well as what positive reinforcement does. And positive reinforcement is giving rewards for good behavior. And that in and of itself is like when you apply that to addiction, that is that is what will drive change. So showing the person their strengths, not
Yes.
pointing out the faults, not look what you're doing to your children. Look what you're doing to yourself. Look at your skin. Look, you haven't showered. Look how dirty you are. Look, what are you doing to us? Like, look what you're doing to your family. Look at this, look at that, like pointing the finger, pointing the finger, pointing the finger. All that does is make us go back let me go back to the drugs to not think about that. Let me get away from you. Like all you're doing is I'm already doing that to myself in my head. That is already what has
Yeah.
brought me here in the first place. That is not going to create change. What creates change is telling them it's okay that you got to this point. You're human. It happens. Substance use is actually extremely common. Like almost 91%, 91 to 96% of the world's population uses substances in some way, shape, or form. So it is not abnormal for people to be using substances. Don't show them the positive, show them show them the power that they have, show them the life that happens afterwards, and that your life in addiction did not define you or scar you in any, like it did scar you, but let it only scar the person who was addicted. Don't let them take on the scars from others. Showing compassion and forgiveness to the addict is huge. Like, I'm sorry, I know I'm putting this on other people, and I know that like there's the NA literature and the AA literature that says you got to take accountability for everything. And yes, you do. You take accountability for your harms. You do. But to have somebody put their pain that you caused them when you were in your most vulnerable state, like when you were hurting the most, that's really hard also to get over. Like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, it's almost like it's a community effort that we need. It's not just on the addict to change. It's not just on the addict to get better. It's on the community to help everybody. Like, where did we stop having community goals? And like, when they say it takes a village to raise a child, that's how it used to be because mothers need a break. We need community to help the addicts. We do. I'm sorry. Like it can't just come from us. It can't. It can't just come from the inside and from willpower and from whatever you think or the ideology of what recovery should look like. Raynell has it on point. It's what your ideology is, what your recovery is, what your goals are. Forcing yours onto somebody else will not do anything. It will not help whatsoever. I don't know. That was a little bit of my rant. I have somebody in here going, "Oh my God, ugh." So I don't know. You go ahead, Ray. I need my moderator in here. Where's
Yeah,
pizza?
so when we talk about community support, like I don't like like Cheyenne, you said it perfectly. Like what happened? Like what happened?
Right.
Um at the end of the day, it's not an individual thing. Like this is a crisis that so like that we're experiencing here, that's being experienced all over Canada, that's being experienced in the United States. Like this is like a worldwide freaking thing that's happening right now. In most places, some places are have
Yes.
different policies in place where they support people and people aren't homeless. Like there's so like it's so complex, but at the end of the day, like the community that I live in, unfortunately this is the case, is um a lot of people, even though people are recovering out loud, there are a ton of people who are just tired of people that are visibly out on the streets and struggling with substance use. All I ever see is people complaining about the problem, but no one coming up with a solution, or no one being kinder to individuals, no one including those individuals in the conversation. Like that itself is problematic. Don't get me started on 30-day treatment
Making it an
centers, like
individual problem.
100%.
Right,
100%.
exactly. But and what they're doing is they're putting it on the individual. It's
Yeah.
your problem. You're the addict. You're the one that can stop the drugs. It's you. If we were to talk to these people who are talking about you, pointing the finger, it's an individualistic problem. How many things do you think in their lives could we talk to them about where they would say, "Oh, well, I'm doing this because of this. Oh, I'm doing this because of this. I'm doing this because of this." And what if we said to them, "No, no, no, that's you. That's your problem. That's you. You did it. You did all of that." Like it's putting it on the individual is what is making the stigma grow within, like, towards addicts, is when they say it's a moral failing, when they say it's an individualistic thing, calling us victims, saying that we're just victimizing ourselves.
Well, how
We
about
we just can't hack it. Go ahead.
well, like how about we
Kindness is
stop
powerful.
placing
You're
blame
correct.
in, like how about we stop placing blame on anybody involved and we all just work towards the solution or work towards
Right.
something better. We know, we can see, and there's strong evidence for this all over the place, that what we're doing, not you and I specifically, I mean society in general, what has been
Right.
implemented is not working. And what
Right.
is being implemented right now? Stigma, shame, blame. That shit
Right.
needs to stop because we can see it's not working. And when you talk to anybody in recovery, and I'll say this, like I made a post about this before and I don't remember exactly how it goes, but it's like people who are in recovery like are the most kind individuals that you'll ever meet. because they have gone
Yeah.
through some of the darkest and most difficult days and have seen the damage that happens and how difficult it is, that they just spread love and positivity in all directions because we know that's what's
Yeah.
lacking in society. Like, people
Right.
that come out on the other end are the most beautiful individuals I've ever met. Like, and I
I'm going to
can't
tell you
even
something too, and I don't know if
go ahead.
you are the same. Like if this happened to you too. Before addiction, I used to have judgments on things. Not addicts. I never judged addicts, but I used to have judgments on other areas of life, other things that people have done. I want to say, since being sober, I have zero judgment on anything anymore. I'm talking about your like I'm talking about like I support everybody and everything, and I aim to understand every point of view. I'm going to say something really controversial right now. This is going to be very controversial. Raynell, you can agree with me because I know you do agree with me, but I don't know if you want to say that you agree with me, but I'm going to
You're
say it
calling me
anyways.
out regardless.
The
Let's
guys
see.
that
Let's
come,
hear it.
yes, I'm calling you out regardless. The guys that come in from Toronto to Thunder Bay, okay? These little 15, 16, 17-year-old kids that come in and sell very poisonous, dangerous drugs to the addicts in Thunder Bay are extremely villainized. And I see it for good reason. Even the dealers from Toronto that are adults are villainized for good reason. I also want to point that out for good reason. They are contributing to the drug supply. They are contributing to the opioid deaths, contributing to a lot of deaths. Please do not get me wrong here. And I'm not trying to be hypocritical when I even talk about my ex-husband and how he is a drug dealer. I've been around drug dealers my entire life. Okay. I'm not saying that they are saints. I'm not saying that they are great. I'm not saying that I agree with what they do. That is not what I'm saying. But I am now able to put myself in their shoes and see how they got there, why they're doing what they're doing, and some of the stuff that people may not know about. So when you're part of a food chain, there's a guy at the top of the food chain. And when you owe money going down this chain, the people that are being sent to Thunder Bay are just as much victims as the people that they're selling the drugs to. And I know that this is going to cause a lot of freaking backlash going my way, but these are kids that they're sending here, kids. They're grooming them at a young age to come here, and they're terrified because if they go back without the money or the drugs that they were sent there with, they'll die. They grow up in communities where this is normal. This is normalcy. They don't have a lot, and this is what they've known growing up. I look at them as victims. I know I look at a lot of people as victims. I do because I believe that everybody was born beautiful. I believe that everybody comes out as a beautiful soul, and it is what happens to them in their life that kind of shapes where they go. And how unfortunate for somebody to have to be born into that type of situation. And that's where I'm going with that. Raynell, if you want to like expand. I know we've talked about this before. I didn't know if we were going to bring it up, but
I
I kind
wasn't
of
gonna
did.
bring it up. Um, but
I know.
no, I do, I agree. And we see that. Like, I have before, previously, and when I was actively using substances, I also was a dealer, and I'd sell and I'd hang out with a lot of these people, and um all these young folks coming down from places like Toronto or Brampton or all of these places coming down to Thunder Bay. I used to host a lot of them actually at my place, and that Cheyenne is absolutely correct. A lot of them come down knowing how risky it is, but also they don't have a choice. Nobody comes down to Thunder Bay because they think it's a good idea. It's they are told to, so they do. And um it's not a decision that anybody would make to come and do that. They actually end up making a very small percentage of what they actually make when they're down here. They're usually paying off bills of their
They
own.
almost like,
Yeah,
yeah,
so they're paying off bills of
or
their
making
own,
shitty.
and that like I understand and exactly why people are so quick to blame these individuals, and I get it. They're the ones who are bringing it in, like our community is suffering, all of those things. Like I get it, but we just have to start moving away from blame, or like away from blaming anybody, and just say this is what we're dealing with. This is the circumstances. What can we do to make it better? Let's look at it as like a system approach instead of victimizing individuals, because we all know, and we all know this personally, like we all have our own struggles. We all have gone through something horrible. Not like 9.9 times out of 10 people in general, everybody has gone through something that they would consider traumatic. Now, it doesn't matter on the
Right.
scale of what it is. The point is we all carry something that has happened in our lives that has shaped us in a way that leans us in the direction to make the decisions that we made, whether they are positive or negative. The problem is the system doesn't allow for supports effectively to help people work through that. And the problem that I see with the way the things that are set up now is like they're I don't see anything getting better. Yeah, we see a lot more people louder in
Right.
recovery, which you would think, oh, well, something's working. We see more people in recovery. I hear about people talking about recovery all the time, so we must be doing something right. No, it's just because people in our generation or where we are speaking up about it because there's so much shame around it, and shame and secrets keep people sick. But the systems in itself
Exactly.
are still they're broken. They don't work. Um,
Right.
they work for some
Right.
people, but my point is it actually just gets me frazzled, and I start thinking about like 30 million different things all at the same time, and I get frustrated because for me it's so obvious. It's so obvious, and I think for Shy it's also so obvious. And I remember we had done an interview not that long ago about one of the things that Chai and I want to implement, which is basically harm reduction, low barrier, shelter and treatment, love you till you can love yourself kind of space, right? And the
Right.
interviewer asked us, "Isn't shouldn't this be a government project?" And we're like, "Yes. Yes, it should
Right.
be. It should be.
Yeah,
You're
it
right."
should. Right.
So she's like, "Well,
Right.
how do you feel like when individuals like yourself are trying to take something of this magnitude on?" We're like, well, someone has to do it because it's not happening.
Exactly. 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 And it's funny because yeah, it's doing my master's research right now. What I'm doing is like looking at the 12-step program of NA and how it has kind of like a monopoly over the treatment industry. And it's because it's the most accessible and affordable place to go. What's the first thing you think of when you want to go and get help? NA. Why? It's everywhere. You can find a meeting any night. And it's free. Like, of course, that's going to be the first thing that you go to. Why is there not a free 8 places, 9, 10, 11, 12 places all around your community that are there waiting for you to walk in and say, "Hey, I'm ready to get better off of substances." Why is that? Why is that not available? Why? Why?
Right.
That doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense to me. There's 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 hospitals. for when you're physically ill, that you can walk in. There's walk-in clinics. There's an emergency room 24 hours. There's 24-hour Shoppers Drug Mart so that you can go and talk to a pharmacist if you need to. But there's no one place that you can go to say, hey, listen, I'm ready to get off of drugs. Is there not a problem with that? Does that make any sense to anybody? When we're in a literal epidemic of an opioid epidemic where people are dying at a rate of 77 people per day from opioids, that's insane. I just put those statistics in my master's thesis. That's nuts. I will read it. I'll read it right now. So, yeah, and there's 82% of respondents have wait, this is the wrong one, but it's 82% of respondents that said that they do not have access to treatment. There was systemic barriers to care, which included long wait times and financial burden. 82.5% of people that were looking for care. 21% of the population will meet the criteria for substance use disorder at some point in their life. 21%. That's nuts. So 21% of the population will meet that criteria, and we have barely any resources for them. That is insane. But
so Cheyenne, when you're reading those statistics, actually my eyes just actually start like watering and I want to cry because
I know
21% out of all those individuals will actually meet the needs, meet the requirements to get care. What happens to everybody else who's seeking it? They don't meet requirements. What does that mean? Like that, that's horrible.
It's insane. I know. And then I'm going to tell you this, okay? I'm going to tell you this. So when we're talking about NA, we're not trying to like shit on NA, okay? But 91.8% of people who are looking for care go to NA, okay? Because it has more than 72,000 weekly meetings over 143 countries. That's insane. Do you know how much that is? That there's NA in 143 countries and 72,200 weekly meetings every single week. But number one, you have to believe in a higher power. So you do have to believe in God in some sort of way, which is why the drug recidivism program that we have in Canada for people who choose to go to treatment instead of getting charged, why they will not enforce NA as one of those treatment programs is because somebody went and they fought and said, I will not go to NA because it goes against my religion. And they won. So NA cannot be a forced treatment program under the court's recidivism program because it has religious ties. They always say, we're not a religious organization. We're not a religious organization. But you are. That's the problem. You are a religious organization. Another thing is you have to meet the abstinence-based model of recovery. You also have to say, I'm powerless over alcohol and drugs. No, you're not. You are not powerless. Like, you need to take your moral inventory. You need to say all the bad that you've done in your life. You need to go out and make amends every single day for that period of time in your life when you were addicted to drugs. The people that I know that are in that program stay in that program for life. For life. It's because they feel like they need to make amends for one. Do you know how long your life is? Do you know that you only live one life? You only have one life. And I'm going to let 4 years of my, maybe 80 years that I live, I'm going to let 4 years define the rest of how I live my life? Are you fucking kidding me right now? That's insane. That's fucked. Raynell, you said you were involved with addiction for how long? 14 years?
Yeah.
14 out of 80 years. So 66 years of your life, you are now going to dedicate the rest of your life to telling yourself that you need to make up for those 14 years. Does that
Yeah,
make sense to
I'm
you?
not. I'm not going to do that. One of the other things that sorry.
I'm sorry, that was fucking awesome. Well, I'm not going to. That's the one thing. That's the first thing I'm going to say is that I'm not doing that. That was awesome.
Um
But yeah, like
So
really
if
though,
I
really
feel
though.
like one of the other things that I find a little bit problematic with that, and I'll admit to everybody here, like my foundation of my recovery was built in the rooms of AA and NA. Like I did a set of steps, I did all of those types of things, but what I refuse is to um like Cheyenne said, that's not going to be the rest of my life. Like I am not going to go into
No,
meetings 5 years into my wellness journey and say, "Hi, my name is Raynell and I'm an addict." I'm not doing
every
that.
day
I'm
for
not.
the rest of your life.
I'm not. That was
That's
so those
like
14
what?
years of my life, yes, I was an addict
Define the rest of your life.
and I'm
Yeah.
after that time period, I'm not. That's not who I am. Like we are forever
No.
changing,
Now,
evolving and growing. Forever. And I refuse to
now there's
stigmatize
one chapter.
myself further by continuing to
Thank
call
you.
myself an addict. I'm not doing that. I'm just not. Like
I love
that
you.
doesn't it
I
doesn't
love you.
define who I
No one could
am.
have said it better.
It's
You
built
couldn't have said
me
it better.
into the
You could.
individual that I am now, that I'm proud to be, and I will not define myself and stigmatize myself by saying that every fucking day. Pardon my language, but it's not happening.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. No, no, no. You are 100% correct in what you are saying, and not only 100% correct. Like you are bang on. Sorry, my glasses have a big glare. Um, so I just want to say something too here. I have a little bit more stats here.
Yeah,
So
let's hear it.
there's there's 6,601 opioid toxicity deaths in 2020. And there's been that many in 2025. Sorry, I said 77. I don't know where I got the 77 from, but and 18 deaths per day on average within the last 12 months just from opioids. So that's every day in Canada. That's just Canada. That's not the United States. That's not anywhere else. That was probably like worldwide stats that I had. So that's just Canada. 6,601 people. That is insane. That's just from opioid. And that's the ones that we know about. That's the ones um, that are actually being documented, right? So 18 times a day, somebody's dying from opioids. 18 people in Canada every single day. Think about that. That's a lot of freaking people. I don't know. I'm going to look up some stats right now on other things. Give me one
Like
second.
600 people a month.
And yeah. So let me just look this up. Let me put this into perspective here. One second. Okay. So from car accidents, 5 people die a day from car accidents in Canada, with about 1,964 fatalities in a year. So that's 6 times the amount of deaths from opioids And so what is that? That's like 4 times the amount of deaths than car accident deaths. But how many people are like, how do we go about dealing with car accidents? We have police all over the road. We have like, drunk driving, criminal charges. We have cops all over the place making sure that stuff doesn't happen. We have laws in place all over the place trying to prevent car vehicle accidents. We have all of these things. Then I looked up cancer. That's 200 people per day die from cancer in Canada, 18 from opioids. So yeah, that's a big difference and a big jump, but it's still something that we're not doing anything about. So if you look at like the highest spectrum of cancer and like the lowest spectrum of car accidents, like we're kind of in the middle with the drug epidemic, and we are not doing crap all about it, but we're doing so much about both ends of the other spectrum. Why is this one being completely ignored? Like, that's what I want to know. Like, why is this something that nobody cares about? Nobody cares about it. No one. Like, not one government official cares about actually ending this crisis, because if they did care about ending this crisis, there would be so many more things in place than what we have. Like, so much more research would be going into this, so much more money would be like going into funneling into helping people. And it's not even about helping people. They're just trying to detain people at this point.
Shai, I just want to bring up too, when we start talking about numbers and funding and all of these types of things, there's a lot of people that are like, oh, well, we spend so much money, the taxpayers pay so much money on this and that. But I think people are missing the bigger picture here. The bigger picture. How about all the money that is spent for police resources to deal with individuals who are using substances? Let's talk about the overdoses and all the resources that go into that. All the resources that go into homelessness due to substance use. Let's talk about all the money, the emergency vehicles, all the money that is funneled into these other areas that are dealing with this problem that's not stopping, is only continue going into jail. Right. Do you know how much it costs to have somebody put into jail? So much more than it is to house them. Why isn't there housing? If we had stable housing for folks, they could have supportive housing, they could get the support they need, they could be loved, they can be cared for, they can start building goals and achieving different things. But we don't do that. We just rather throw people in jail that cost the taxpayers so much more money. Why aren't we trying to get ahead of this? The minute that we start addressing this and starting to work with people to heal, to support them, the less money that gets funneled by taxpayers into the resources it goes just to punish these people. Why are we doing that? As a country or as a province, why aren't we saying this doesn't make sense? It's crazy. Why are we as taxpayers funding beds, 30-day treatment beds? It's a cycle. They're just going to keep going back around. 30 days is not enough. Like, you look at someone like me who is 14 years in active substance use, and you want to send me to a 30-day treatment, 30 days versus 14 years? 14 years. And you expect me to change my life around in 30 days? Doesn't happen. It can't happen. It doesn't even make sense. The science doesn't even back that up. Go ahead.
Somebody in my comments is saying like, oh, stop, nobody's being detained, like this is a little bit too surface. When we say detained, we mean jailed. We mean they're being jailed.
Yes.
There. Okay. I'm not going to answer you, but so do you know how much it costs to jail somebody for 1 month in Canada? It costs approximately $9,570 to over $17,000, depending on whether the individual is in a provincial or federal facility. $17,000 a month for one person in jail. Do you know how many people are jailed in Canada right now? Let's look it up. How many people are in jail in Canada? A lot. That's all I know.
Yeah.
35,485 people are in jail right now. Do the math on that and tell me how many. Yeah, we're in Canada. Tell me how much money that is. That is insane. And you're talking about money going towards helping people with drug addiction. And I'm sorry, whoever it is in my comments that said that about that. I think that they should have the freedom to use too. I think that people that want to use drugs should have the freedom to use drugs 110%. I think that drugs should be legalized. I honestly do. I think that if we legalize drugs, we would take so much of the problems off the streets. Like I said, I'm a crazy, crazy advocate for that book. And that book is all about legalizing drugs and putting it back in the hands of the government instead of in the hands of the hands of everyday folks, where they have to fight for territory, fight for and all the violence. Like all of the violence would stop. Like what have you ever heard of anybody getting killed over weed anymore? No, because weed's legalized. Nobody gives a shit. Like nobody's fighting for the weed industry out on the streets anymore. But I remember when I was in high school, there was some people that went and stole some of the Hells Angels weed out of their weed grow op, and they were going to get killed over it. Is that going to happen anymore? Nope. Because do the Hells Angels have a weed grow up? Probably not. And even if they did, no one gives a shit anymore. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, they profit off both ends of the drug trade. Exactly. I agree with you. Yeah. I agree with this person. They do. They profit from both sides, and it's gross. I find it disgusting. And I find it gross how we're all just letting it happen, and we're all just pointing the finger and blaming everybody else, including me and you. We're pointing the finger and blaming people too. I think it all just has to stop, and we all just need to start helping and just saying enough is enough and doing the right thing. And we all know what the right thing is. Like, we're not stupid. The government isn't stupid. We're not stupid. Like, people aren't stupid. We know what the right thing is to do. Just nobody's doing it. We need treatment centers. We need treatment centers. We need people with compassionate care. We need compassionate care. We need to legalize drugs. We need to start helping our fellow man and stop dividing and stigmatizing each other. That's what needs to happen. Like,
amen, man.
Like, it's frustrating.
It's so frustrating. It's just, it is. It's 100% frustrating. Like when we, I don't even know what to say anymore. Like, I just get so like mentally and physically drained during these conversations when we talk about this topic, because for me, it seems so obvious for you and I. And it goes down to the fact, I think so. Like, I like to think it is. Like, it is I don't
obvious. Know what it is obvious. And you know what? Even if you don't want to legalize drugs, stop stigmatizing the drug addict and start like putting up centers, like government funded centers, real government funded centers, like regulated government centers that is backed by science, backed by people that have lived experience, backed by nothing but compassion, and start healing people, start making them better. Nobody cares about anybody's story. They go to the jail and they don't care what you have to say. Just put them in jail for 30 days, let them go back out onto the street. Like, nobody cares. They just want to push the problem away, keep pushing the problem, push it away. Like, most of the people that are in power have never experienced anything outside of like their car breaking down on the side of the road at most of the times. You know what I mean? So they don't know what it's like. And why should they care? Why should they care about people that they don't know anything about, or a population that they don't have any connection to? That's why they don't have connection to us. So that's why we need to scream louder and higher so that they do hear us, so that we are known and we are seen and people do start to care. Like, and the pushback is out of control. But you know what? Like, people have told me and you have started this movement, and it's almost like our responsibility to keep it going. And I do feel that way. Like, I don't know about you, Ray, but I kind of feel like we've started something online, and it's our responsibility to make sure that this movement continues, because it is a movement and it is starting conversations, and they may not be good ones right now, but they're good ones when it's coming to my inbox. They're usually good. And when they're going to your inbox, they're usually good. And I've known a lot of people that have said that we have done great things for their life, and they love seeing, us as motivational people. And, you know, I don't know. I feel like we have a responsibility.
No, I agree 100% because like we talked about earlier, we see a lot of people recovering out loud, but a lot of people don't talk about controversial issues like you mostly do, but of course I'm with you, so I'll say you and I. But
Yes.
I do like I feel like if like I almost feel like we need to like step it up a little bit too. I feel like we're in like a critical time period where harm reduction programs are under attack right now. Safe consumption sites have already been attacked. Like all of these different things that support the community that we're talking about are under attack right now, and the solutions that are, or no, they're not even solutions, the backfill of the programs that are being implemented in place are strictly abstinent based programs, which actually don't serve a majority of the population, at least the ones that I work with. So it doesn't even make sense.
No.
It doesn't even make sense.
And it's not even that. Even if abstinence is the final goal, why make it the goal immediately? Like, why make that the like immediate goal? Like, why not baby steps? Like, why can't there be baby steps towards sobriety? Like, why does it have to? Do you know what I mean? Like, when you
Well,
go
why
and
can't
you
it
go
be
into a treatment
levels?
center, why?
Why can't it be levels?
Right,
Because if you're, it doesn't even make sense to start abstinent based program right off the hop for all people that are like street involved. That's like immediately setting people up for failure. And setting people up for
right,
failure doesn't reach any type of goal that we're looking for. It's forcing people out of desperation into the path again that you want them walking down. But it's actually not going to be successful.
right.
Like it
Exactly.
it doesn't make sense to me. Like I don't know, my community program, my the way my community thinks sometimes is a little bit backwards, and I just sit with my frontline workers that I work with, and we just watch everything and just shake our heads. But unfortunately, like there's certain requirements that we have to follow as an agency that we just have to walk down, but we disagree with it. So it's like things need to change at the top levels where policies are written and programs are implemented with the people it's serving in mind. Like strategic plans should be
Right,
designed with the people that it's meant to serve. That's not what's happening right now.
right, right. They're just trying to put a band-aid solution on something that's huge, and it's going to blow up in their face eventually. Like, this can't go on forever. It can't. Like, this kind of way of living, and the way that the drugs are just taking over. Yeah, it can't go on forever. And um I believe it's individuals like myself and you, and advocates that are online. At this point, I think that that's the what's starting a revelation, and I think that the revelation needs to go to the streets. And I
Yes.
always bring it back to like the LGBTQ community. Nobody listened to them until they said, you know what, screw this. We're gonna scream so loud that you guys can't ignore us. And that's almost what we have to do. Do you know what I mean? Like, they banded together, and they said, like, listen, we are going to make sure that you are going to listen to what we have to say. Um, take our take take our rights and our way of being seriously. And that's kind of what the addiction and recovery community needs to do. Like, we need to go and say, hey, listen, like, our people are dying, and you guys need to do something about it. And, like, and make a big fucking stink about it. like one that they can't
Yeah.
ignore and have enough people ready to do it. Like, I don't know.
I don't know.
It's
We should plan
just,
something for
it's sad. It's
when you're down here. We should actually like start planning something where we do something where we bring it to the streets and we get the news involved. And I think that nothing's going to change if nothing changes, and nothing changes unless you're noticed. Like it needs to be like action needs to happen.
right.
So there needs
I
to be
agree.
social action, but in order for there to be social action, it needs to be noticed, and it needs to be, in order for it to get noticed, it needs to be loud, and it needs to be a big presence, and it should be something that would be just so good if all across Canada these types of things were happening. Like we shouldn't be sitting silent anymore. And the
Right.
thing is like it should be so huge because problematic substance use affects everybody. I don't care who you are or where you work. It affects everybody one way or another. One way or another. Family
Yes, it
members,
does.
friends of friends, people, the people that you work with, the people that you serve at your work. Um, Taxpayer dollars, like families who have lost individuals, like it just affects children. This, like, everybody is affected. So it's like everybody in every community should be outside rallying at the same time because we're all affected by this one way or another. There should be no reason why everybody in Canada is not outside screaming at the top of their lungs like across Canada that this is a problem.
Right.
Could you imagine?
For
Like
real
that's how
though.
it should
Like,
be.
they, right? 100% it should be. I totally agree with you. Um, I think that when somebody wants to come on as a guest. I don't know how you feel about that, Ray.